6 o'clock.
Okay, bring the meeting to order, 6:02. I was thinking Zach was gonna be here, we hadn't heard that he was gonna be late tonight, so, but is what it is. So, we need to review the minutes for the November 15th meeting, which, so we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 15th, 2023.
And I second them. Do we have any discussion on that? Any changes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so those, and we need to make an amendment to make sure we approve the December 2nd minutes also for our budget meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of December 2nd, 2023 budget meeting.
I second that.
I saw those minutes too. There wasn't.
Right. Any discussion, any changes on those minutes? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Adjustments to the agenda. Did we have any other adjustments to the agenda tonight?
LinkedIn daily off.
Okay. Okay, other than that, I guess we'll jump into it. Temp highway positions, review, applications set up for interview times. I'm assuming we have some,
Yeah, they're in the file folder.
okay, applications. So, Steve Batchelor and Sean Gilbert. Okay. No. Zach, we were hoping you would join us. So we're reviewing.
Yep.
We're reviewing, we approved the minutes, the last two meetings, and we're reviewing, applications for the temporary highway position. And then I guess we need to set up for interviews. Yeah. So, okay,
Just get the two of them. That's definitely Steve.
you don't have a CDL, do you, Steve? No. Okay. So that would be the only difference.
Okay.
So we just need to set up a time, I guess, for interviews.
Okay.
To go over that, which we were preferring CDL just because they could fill in for every position, but that wasn't a.
Not necessarily a disqualifier.
Correct.
Great. Okay. What is our typical interview process? Is it?
So lots of times before select board meeting, you
Yeah.
set up 2 different times, and they've done this before, but you know, you can do it any way you want.
Yeah.
Just because it's hard to get all 3 of you together.
Right.
Start the
And
interviews at
we should
5.
probably include Harold as well.
Yeah, and but you don't need all 3 of us together, I would think, to do the interview
That's how it was
in the past.
in the past,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be, no.
because the only time we would be able to do that would be either at another meeting, or we'd have to have separate meetings where, and then it gets a little tricky, so,
I would almost suggest if you're, or whoever is available, if you're available, or whoever, to do it do interviews with Harold, and then, we can discuss and improve based off your feedback, or whoever's
Right.
feedback from the
Right.
interviews. Do it at the next select board meeting.
right. Seems like that would
Mm-hmm.
be the easiest.
Yeah. I think so.
So, I can get with Harold and line up a time and figure it out, or Aaron, if you wanna, whatever.
I think you guys both have more experience hiring drivers than I do.
Yeah, if you,
Yep, that's fine.
okay.
I'll get
Perfect.
together with Harold and make a time and figure out when we can line that up. Sounds good. Okay. So, Emily Finn again. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Culvert Little Italy Road, which we've talked about a little bit, but you're gonna help us out. Tell us where we're at.
Yeah, so we received funding from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to start a design process to replace one or both of the culverts under this Cross Vermont Trail and Little Italy Road, because they're right next to each other. And the one under the Cross Vermont Trail is actually a fish passage barrier, meaning that there's a waterfall that fish can't jump up. The one under the road is not, which does matter in terms of like implementation funding in the future. So I'm working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we hired SLR International Corporation, who's a really great design firm. I've worked with them before. They do a great job. And we had a meeting with Harold out there, and a couple of other folks.
Which I was supposed to be there, but I was
Oh, okay.
gone.
Yeah, okay.
I was somewhere.
Yeah, no worries. And we had a really good discussion about possibilities. If we were to look at it from a strictly like biological fish river perspective, we would combine them, and cost, we would combine the crossings, which seems really complicated, and Harold initially was like, absolutely not, that sounds crazy.
I don't know that we even can for our,
Yeah,
I don't even know if that's a possibility, because I think we had a little discussion on that.
yeah. Yeah, so I emailed the town
Something to do with the
clerk.
railroad bed and the
Exactly.
town
Yeah.
and the, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to talk about that and like is it really totally not a possibility? Would it be a possibility? If, like, I understand the ordinance says that year-round traffic can't be on the trail, but like, something that we suggested to Harold is that if you, because he was worried about safety of people on the trail and road, cars on the road. So we suggested like, what if you had a class 3 road with the trail on the side and an actual physical barrier between the path and the road? And so then I was kind of thinking like, then the whole space would be wider, there would be a road, and then there'd be a path next to it, which would achieve the goal of one crossing and separate the traffic in the winter
Okay.
months from December to April. So that was kind of like, and that seemed more amenable to him in terms of having a physical barrier. So that's kind of what I wanted to see is that possible
Okay.
in the ordinance? And that's just one possibility. Like the design process is going to look at lots of different possibilities. The challenge is that we could replace the one under the Cross Vermont Trail. That's the one that's a fish passage barrier, and we can actually get funding to replace.
Okay.
That means that the other one will probably become a fish passage barrier eventually, because it's too small, and replacing the one under the Cross Vermont Trail would allow enough space for the river to move there, but it would still be constricted under Little Italy Road. So it wouldn't actually be solving the whole problem. If we were to replace both with 2 different crossings, I can't see a scenario, it would be very hard to find funding for the Little Italy one, because it's
Okay.
not a fish passage barrier. So we could make 2 design, we could have a design that could apply to both crossings and just replace the one under the CDT. And eventually, I don't know, find funding for the Little Italy one, but it's much harder for me to access funding for the Little Italy one, because it's not a problem for fish. Which
Okay,
is where the money is.
so that all
So-
being said, so if we do a double thing, connect,
Yeah,
so on and so forth, financially and everything, when this all comes to whatever, what would be the town responsibility part of that to pay for, I guess? You know, like, money-wise, what are we talking, like, what are we getting into, I guess, is how much would the town be looking, a percentage of it, of something? Do you have any?
It really depends on the funding source that is accessed, but my goal is always to have the town pay as little as possible. I just helped replace one in standard and the town paid nothing.
Okay.
The whole replacement, I accessed like 3 different grant sources and that was it. We replaced it for them, basically.
Okay, so, and as far as,
But that's more likely with fish passage.
okay, so I guess where I'm going with this whole conversation, I feel like, and I'm kind of speaking, but for the board, is that, okay, so financially, if you can combine the two and our contribution is close to 0, okay, we could probably work with something like that. But
Yeah.
if we're gonna have to pay a bunch of money and blah, 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 and try to put them together and this and that versus keep them separate, and so it gets a little complicated. And actually, right now, we're still kind of connected. We discussed this the last time about this, because Little Italy Road actually goes on to the rail trail with cars and is used anyways at a junction up above that.
Like more towards the main road?
Correct.
They cross over. Right. They do
Right,
cross
so
over.
you're using the
Right.
same road, so.
Yes, that's true.
In a way, so, okay, so I'm just, and we don't have a gate there, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about different ideas for that situation and whatever. We've never had a huge problem with it, but there has been some issues with that. I don't know, what do you guys think about?
I mean, the ordinance, we need to take the ordinance into consideration.
Correct,
right?
absolutely.
And the reality is that DAST is in charge of the railroad bed.
But we have
In the wintertime,
In the
winter
with
time.
Cross Vermont Trail as well. So, I mean, there's a couple organizations,
Right.
but it's managed still through the town. I mean, that's the,
It's town property.
correct.
The ordinance clearly states that it can't be combined with a class 3 road, although
It already is.
where there was grandfathered in a certain part of it that had basically become, Little Italy Road.
Well, but I think the thing being, I mean, and what I'm hearing is we're talking about combining 2 culverts, but we would still have a clearly defined separation between the trail and the roadway, so it wouldn't be a class 3 road and the trail combined. From an engineering standpoint, I guess you could say they would be in order to put one singular culvert in there. But I think what is being proposed is having some sort of barrier that separates the roadway from the trail, which I would be supportive of. Again, I get the big question is funding. You know, if
And how much?
what's that?
Which road would bend?
That's, yeah, totally.
Which one would turn towards the other?
feet apart from each other.
Totally, yeah, and there's lots to figure out, obviously.
And would they
like-
stay that distance apart, and there's a lot of questions. So,
Totally,
so,
it's more like.
and I-
can it even be
and I guess,
at this
so, I don't
stage?
know, I feel like a board, like representing the town would be, okay, a financial responsibility always has a huge factor in this. So, if the responsibility is close to 0, okay, we can probably maybe work some things around. But if we're looking that we're gonna have to pay $50,000 or a big chunk of change in order to make this all work, it doesn't really sound very feasible,
Yeah.
per se.
Well, and that strikes me, I mean, that seems like the response would be the same regardless of whether the crossings would be combined or separate, or one or both.
True.
It doesn't
Yes.
really matter what the design is,
Yep.
the town isn't interested in paying very much for it.
Right.
Which is totally fine, totally makes sense. That's what I said to you in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
But you don't really have we don't really know any of that, so.
Yeah.
How far do we get before you start to figure out that, I guess? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with all these projects, is like, you get through the design phase, and the goal is always to fund it through implementation. And the longer you're willing to wait, the more likely that is to happen,
right,
right?
well, Well, as far
You
as
guys
I'm
don't,
concerned,
yeah.
as a town, we're not in any
Right.
hurry.
Right.
No, no.
So,
But I don't think that the town can make the decision. The town, the VAS has to, the interested parties in the ordinance have overriding.
but I think the town, since the town owns the railroad bed, would be the first one to make that decision. VAST, we would go to VAST and say, this is what we're looking at doing, and VAST would probably say, okay, it sounds good to us. You know what I mean, per se? I don't know.
I'm not sure that that's right. And Gary, maybe you have, here's the ordinance, but
Well-
yeah, maybe you have a better, I almost think that VAS has to say, yes, it's okay before the town does. The way the ordinance is written and the way the railroad bed is used by VAST in the wintertime.
Are we specifically speaking about if we were to move one
To the other, or
I
keep them
think
separate?
even improving
Putting a
the
new culvert in?
culvert.
I don't think so. I think we have the ability, if the culvert needs to be replaced or has an issue, because it's town property, we would, it's like some of the other culvert work that's been done. I know VAST has been able to secure funding for some of that, but, or the clearing of culverts.
Well, I can find that really
Yeah.
quickly, because I can give Matt a call and he will clear that up
But I mean, again, I think if we're
easily, but.
doing something to improve that,
The
again,
biggest reason not is just, it's the safety factor.
Right.
It's the number one reason,
Totally, and we heard that from Harold.
you know.
well,
And,
I mean, it's because there's a gravel pit up
and
there, so.
I don't know even what you're.
Yeah, they're big trucks.
proposing.
I mean, it's Puffer's trucks
And-
going whoosh,
And-
and when you're riding along Little Italy Road, maybe on your bicycle or whatever,
Mm.
you're kind of aware of that, but where they turn and make that turn, you know where the culvert is.
Mhm, yep.
It's, yeah.
but I mean, again, maybe.
Is there any, there's no private land as that separates, is there?
Yeah, the ownership is a little funky in there, actually. There is like a
Because
spit
I
that
think
goes into it.
on the narrow part, the right of ways overlap, so it's all town, but it starts to separate.
Yes,
right
there's some
in
private
that
property
grade.
in that.
It used to be Eastman's, I believe.
Yes, and now it's different, I think, yes.
So and maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Okay, so never mind, we're not gonna do this anymore.
I would say,
Is the proposal a bridge or a culvert?
It would probably be a bridge,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
Which would have rails on,
Yeah.
Would
right?
have to.
So
It would
that
have,
would be good.
that would be one,
Oh, yeah.
right? It would have-
that would be required probably.
Yeah.
So,
In the engineering
but I don't
design.
wanna waste, I don't wanna spend a lot of time, like,
So
figuring
I
this.
think we're still, I mean, I'll
We're
speak
in
for
the-
myself, we're still supportive of, I think, what you're trying to accomplish here. I think that the thing that, I think we may have gotten ahead of ourselves with trying to combine the trails and put barrier, like, I think it seems like we need to do is focus on the first culvert that needs to be replaced. Come up with a design that is going to be what needs to replace it. And I think we need to include, Deb, to your point, the town, I think, has the ability to make that decision, but we should still have VAST involved, especially if it's gonna be a bridge. And it's going to be something that may impact how the trail works or operates. It would, no matter what, we would need input.
And the Little Italy Road does have heavy equipment used
Yeah,
Right.
which we have, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the point is though, that the design firm needs to know now if combining the crossings is like completely off the table and they won't spend any time on it. That's kind of.
I would say at this point with, again, I haven't been down there to look at this specifically, but it sounds like there is a pretty good separation where these two culverts are. I don't know that that is a feasible option. I think that combining those, moving the trails together, there's more than just putting two culverts in, or one combined culvert in. Now you're talking about roadway redesign and moving an already set either roadway or trail to combine that space. Again, I think it may be too complicated to be feasible at this point. And I'm not an engineer, but
Yeah.
I know from a cost standpoint, it's gonna be beyond the cost of replacing two culverts with one culvert. We're gonna be talking about a lot more money.
The primary goal of the railroad bed is as a pathway
Correct.
for recreation. So that needs to be the highest level of
Yeah.
what's supposed to happen, which I'm sure you understand.
Totally, and I guess I would say then that, like, yes, it's very complicated,
Well, somebody
And
came,
it's still and it's still, but I think part of what we're trying to understand now is like, is it, like, can we create a design and show you if it's feasible?
well, that's what I feel
Or
like
it's
we're
not too
looking at,
You know,
something in
I'm not
design,
and
right?
I completely understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
for sure. Looking at a design would make it a lot easier to understand. If, you know, again, if you
Well, we're
want to
not-
do that, I just don't know that it's, you know, again, we could do all of that work and say no. I just, thinking through, and I don't know what your funding sources are, or what the, again, financial obligation of the town will be. When we start combining things like that and moving roadways, it's good, again, I think from a financial feasibility standpoint, that may not be.
I know, but we don't really know. So in order to design that, you're saying that, you know, this is where you're at to design something and then come back and say, okay, so this is what it'll look like if we did this type of thing.
Yeah.
What, I mean,
I mean, I guess the question is do you, if you're willing to
What will it
do
look
that
like?
work, I know that costs money too.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put that work in and we have, you know, we may say, no, that's not gonna work,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is a possibility.
A plan for fixing the culvert that's under the railroad bed, and
Yeah.
deal with the next thing, when the next thing happens, instead of,
Yeah.
I understand your point of view, you know, what you're saying, you're trying to be prepared for the future.
Right, and ultimately it would be less expensive to just combine, honestly, probably, it would be less expensive to
And I
combine
don't
them than
know-
to replace one of them and then wait for the other one.
The
to-
legal aspect of the property is something else. What you're saying is there's somebody else who owns property in between the
Yes.
railroad bed and the
I
Little
think
Road.
Yes, there
I
is,
mean,
yeah.
that's a lot of.
It's my job.
yeah, so I mean, personally, I feel like, hey, show us something.
Yeah,
I like
yes, yeah.
pictures. I can't see what it would look like, how it would be. But at the end of the day, the board could say in the town, like,
Yeah.
we can't do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
definitely.
so I don't know. What do you think, Aaron?
No, yeah, I think, it doesn't hurt to design.
I was also, in my mind.
And I was also thinking, does one wide bridge that's built to carry heavy equipment, cheaper to build than one narrow for one little labor, is a less expensive one for the railroad bed, which only handles.
And
the road.
we would love to, yeah, and we could definitely have that as a
You know,
possibility, right?
I
Like what
just
happens if we
look-
replace
You look
both?
at the other bridges
Yeah.
on the railroad beds, you know.
I guess we'd kind of, yeah, like some different options,
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
A, B, and C,
Yeah.
like this. And then it would be easier to say,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
this is the route that we would look like we would want to go. We still got to do this and check with this and go through this procedure. How's that sound?
That sounds fine.
Would it-
I think what I'm also trying to get
That
at
is like, it sounds like I've definitely hit on the right place to ask if combining, you know, the select board is the right group to ask about combining the railroad bed and the road, because
Right.
it's like, because I was also trying to figure out ownership and jurisdiction over the railroad bed piece of
It's the
it.
town.
So it's the town.
It says it in here.
No, I understand that.
The
Yeah,
other
I'm
piece
just
of
also trying to,
land,
like-
they would have to get some, from
Yeah,
that,
again,
that would
I
have
think
anything.
that's,
What's that?
looking at what
That other
design
piece
is.
of land that's in between
Yeah,
that,
right,
whatever,
of
that's
course.
not.
Yeah.
Well, but if the town were to accept that project, I mean, it would be trying to get an easement through, you know, you'd have to get an easement to move that. And because it's town property, it then becomes the town's, it will become our responsibility to deal with that landowner if we were to do that.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, again, I agree, looking at designs is, I'm just skeptical that combining that is going to be cheaper in the long run. I have, and it is way more complicated, for sure. So, I mean, I think that's just, but again, if you guys are willing to put together designs and bring them to us, and again, we'll keep,
I just, yeah, I'm thinking the same way.
Because I just think of the bridges I build for recreational trails compared to what is needed for, you know, a state road or a
Sure,
town road.
sure,
It just hold two different
Sure.
levels.
yeah, yeah,
for sure, and I can also foresee questions being asked, why are we building a bridge on Little Lily Road when we may have other bridges in Groton that need to be replaced?
Yeah,
So that's, again, beyond the.
But when you say
scope
a
of
bridge,
it.
would it actually be a bridge or would it be a culvert, a box
No, I think
culvert?
it's
It would be a real
probably
bridge?
be a bridge, just, that, it's just easier to get the span that you need to allow the river to move as much as it wants to move.
So instead of a box culvert,
And
it's
so-
wider than that,
Yeah,
with beams and, yeah.
I mean, I have no idea,
Okay.
I haven't seen anything yet, but that's what we were talking about.
So we,
Probably be a bridge, yeah.
we're good as far as the board, as far as I can see, we're good for you to pursue with different ideas and pictures, because I really like pictures. It gives me
Yeah.
an idea, but it-
Yeah,
and then kind of see where it goes.
Okay.
If that's not something that they want to spend money on, you want to spend money on, then we're not we're not spending any money on it. How's
I
that?
hear that.
Okay.
Just one more thing, in terms of the culvert specs under the CVT, are there specific rules that the town has to follow based on the rail section, or is it?
CBT has rules for bicycles as far as the pathway, like when I did a bridge for snowmobiling and they wanted to share it, my bridges have spacing for drainage, and they needed a
Okay.
3 to 4 foot wide solid space
Okay,
with the whole width.
And I would think too, the way we've got the
And
policy written, you know, the rail bed is accessible to vehicle traffic
Right.
one a year.
Yeah.
so it has to
So
be
we would
set
need
for
to
vehicle
meet
spaces.
probably.
And do you
unlike
have our
Vermont
policy
DOT
on
specs.
that
Yes.
to review?
Yep, it's on the website, I looked at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I don't know, Philip might have a better
Greg
inclination on it.
Weston with Cross Vermont Trail would be a good contact for you.
Greg Weston from.
Yeah, do you
Okay.
know him?
Nope.
I can get your email and forward it to you.
That'd be great, yeah.
You
And,
can probably get it from Mike.
okay,
The only thing I would say is,
Uh,
With the planning
yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Now,
okay.
your
vehicle, emergency.
I believe you talked to
Yes.
this quite a bit.
I have,
Right.
and,
Point
and,
taken.
on 302 to use that road.
Point
Right.
taken.
Right, but
The-
again, I'm sure that there's Vermont DOT or V-Trans probably has bridge specifications that are for vehicle. I mean, so even though it's the Cross Vermont Trail and it's primary recreation, it is the alternate route for emergency vehicles. So it's got to be able to hold those weight specifications as well.
Some good aids on 302, that's the way to know.
yeah, and, contact for Bass Trail to.
Matt Tatro.
That Pedro,
Over in Berlin there. I can get that to you if you like.
Sure.
Okay, are we,
That's great, that's information.
okay, well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming
your
out.
consideration.
Thanks.
Okay,
Um,
okay, moving along. Budget.
Tim, no Tim?
No Tim, Tim's crossed off.
Perfect.
Budget. We have budgets. You've filled in stuff.
Doing everything from Saturday's meeting, anything that we didn't have yet, I put in this year's figures, so it would at least,
Give an idea.
yep. And,
After all that, that's not as bad as I thought it would be.
I know, it makes me want to go through it again and double check, but,
Right,
And obviously, it's not finalized, but
no,
so like the passive stuff, we don't have that yet, the workers' comp and all that, so I used this year's figures. Other than that, NIMRIC, you know, all their updates and property card stuff, all those, disaster recovery, we don't have those figures yet either, but
Right.
they're not huge.
Yeah.
So everything was put in, and what we didn't have, I just used this year's figures. So with all that, it shows an increase from this year to next year of 38,810.
okay, and that was with the
but that's not
The
what he said.
increase for the library and everything was in there
Yeah.
too? Which that was $19,000, so,
Yeah,
right?
I think it was closer to 14, but,
Oh, was it? I thought it was,
The whole thing was up 14 again. Yeah.
yep, so with the increase to the ambulance contract and.
which that was 8, another 8,
I think so.
8 on that, 14 on that. I mean, yeah, really, the town itself has done
We did have, some small.
increases,
The budget
yeah.
Decreased in
Of
places.
course,
which,
fuels and insurances
Yep.
are up. All in all,
Oh,
it's,
okay,
it's not looking too bad, actually.
So long as passive comes in reasonable to what it was this year.
Okay,
Which I think it is increased, but.
Are we still, is
It
there,
usually increases and then
Yeah.
in certain places and lower in other ones, so it kind
right,
of moves around, but.
right.
so for actual budget for for 23, how close are we to that being final? I mean, I'm sure you still have a couple of things that we're waiting on payments to come in for.
By next meeting, we should have everything, right? Pretty well,
Should be
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty close.
finalized with what we have as
Closer.
actuals.
Yeah,
okay,
I didn't get the fund balance around,
okay,
so we'll have to do that next time. I forgot about it.
okay, that's fine.
Which
How
is better
close is it?
anyway, because
How close is the one from,
it'll be closer to the end of the year, which will make it more accurate anyway.
yeah. So hopefully next meeting, we can have a final budget
Final.
and fund
Okay,
balance figure. So those decisions will be moved to
right,
next.
right, okay. Good, I mean, we had a good day Saturday working on it and stuff, so we were able to hash some stuff around and try to figure out where the best we could do.
I think considering, how much costs are up and all of that, I think that, an increase of $38,000 is actually pretty good considering.
All right,
COLA was 3.9. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
we were,
we were under
we're going with
3.9
3.
on this budget, I would say.
right,
So,
Yep.
so,
That's a good way to say it.
okay,
I would definitely agree with that.
anything more on budget? Good?
Laying on that.
Well, we have another,
Is that another line down?
yeah. Any more discussion on budget?
Listen, I think we just have to finalize wages, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
next.
wages and benefits finalization
Yeah,
and, yep,
okay, so next, labor, wages, I don't know, do we need,
This is figured in at the 3%.
okay, good, which is what we talked about.
Yeah,
So 3%,
and then the adjustments that you did on the health officer and zoning and all that.
right, for, stipends, yep, okay, good. Okay, so, move on to, what are we doing about wages?
how do you wanna handle it? Do you wanna
Either-
just share what the wages are and what we decided?
Do I need to request an executive session at this point before this is
I don't know, that's what we're
I mean, we
trying,
just said 3%, so then that's,
So, with what we talked about with wages, I guess the question that goes along with that is
is
what,
there any raises?
are we doing any additional raises to the 3%, in addition to the 3%?
Correct.
So,
well, like, I guess you could, but the librarians wasn't 3%, I mean,
The librarian was, just 10%, $2 raise, right, at the librarian, and Philip has requested a raise.
Correct,
To talk about,
correct,
which Philip had requested a raise 100% healthcare coverage and a better plan that we were gonna discuss.
Correct.
You want to discuss that in open meeting, you want to do that in executive? I'd like to do it in executive session. If you want.
Okay,
So, we can discuss it in executive session, but I think it will be as pretty much the same executive session we had previously. I think no matter what, when we make a decision, it's open to the public. So, I think, if we're gonna make a decision, we gotta make a decision and.
which we'd
everybody's gonna
already
know about it.
discussed.
Which, yeah, exactly. We, I think, have an idea of what we're doing.
Yeah, I think we're right. That's where we were.
Correct, yeah. So what we would do would be, I'll just say it, because we need to
So
just
if
say
you'd like
it.
me to just, if there was gonna be a change, I can make a change to what I kind of presented, and what was asked. I can make that. If you want to do an open meeting, I can do that.
Well, you would have requested a certain amount and requested full health care insurance, and you requested the town have a better health insurance policy, right? So we're,
There can be a change, that's what negotiations are all about.
okay,
So, I guess, Philip, if you want to do it in executive session, we can, but again, we're gonna come out of this.
I would like to do that, and it may not be as complicated as it was before. It's worth it.
We could tell you what we're thinking, and it may not be as complicated as it was before as well, so, that's
You
the
guys wanna
chair's
go?
decision.
yeah, we'll take a second, we'll,
Yeah,
executive session.
Okay.
okay, so,
Do we want to, are we covering insurance as well in executive session, or are we just gonna discuss the wages?
We're just discussing wages.
Okay. And then when we come back from executive session, we'll discuss benefits.
Well, I don't know that we have all we don't
Were you
have all
talking
the
about
stuff
benefits
Correct.
for insurance and like rates and all
The
that
differences,
stuff.
correct,
We
yes.
just
So
have
I don't
wages
know
and
that we
wages
can
and
really
insurance.
discuss
Well, but
insurance.
we can at least say this is what we're looking for, and let's talk,
Okay.
make sure we have it for the next week's budget.
Okay,
Because I have some
Just for everybody.
okay.
things to say about it anyway. Do we just take this and we'll share?
Yep.
Okay. I'll take this and
Bring me back some Smarties,
oh, yeah, I will.
my desk,
Okay.
please.
how are you, Gab?
The copiers being delivered on the 19th.
Yeah, I've gotten several emails.
6:52.
Okay, go to your phone.
Then people start driving around there.
Decision made.
Wait, you're out of executive.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the board had made a decision during executive session that, Philip has obviously requested more, and the board has agreed to give Philip a raise, which would be $26 an hour, which is plus the 3%, so, which I don't know, have all the details of what he's,
So,
at the end of the day, the total is $26 an hour.
you want to put back?
Okay, so, that's that.
So, see, will you write on it and maybe sign the wage sheet? I think
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that should be done
Okay.
now.
Fund balance, we don't have that,
It'll
that's
just be
good.
this top one here.
Final budget approval, no, we're not doing that. So, highway,
Yeah, I
have
think
we
so.
had anything from highway?
Just
Nothing,
that one change here that will.
I
okay.
didn't see anything from Harold today.
Yeah, no, I didn't get an email or anything.
To your knowledge, there's no highway update, Philip.
No, the only thing I'll say is we're in the winter operations.
Yep.
Okay,
Until
Tre-
Sunday when it's 50 degrees and
treasurer,
Okay, have the TAN renewal,
Yep.
which is the line of credit that we do every year. I'm sorry, I can't remember the rate. It was 6.06 if we use it.
Okay.
And I can't remember the amount. I just got it.
$222,974.
So, I mean, we haven't used it in several years, but
Okay.
it's just nice to have. And doesn't cost us anything. So
Okay.
it's
Could I use it?
So, that needs to, I need a motion to approve it and that you authorized it and blah, blah, blah.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve the line of credit, really.
Tan, yeah.
TAN account.
Second?
Discussion.
It's a good thing to have.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
I think the last few pages is for Carrie and I to sign.
Okay.
You'll see it.
This is only 14 places to sign.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at the 20th, the next meeting, to review the fund balance and final
Yes.
budget approval.
Yep.
We just learned that there's a new wage tax going into effect in July of 2024. We're just learning, it's like 0.44%, has to do with childcare. So that's going into effect.
income tax?
Yep,
Yep.
payroll, state payroll, part of it.
That's just fantastic.
I went to a end of the year training today about new ways of filing the W-2s and the 1099s and all the personal information that it needs from me to be able to do it. You have to have your phone and you have to take a picture and you have to send it, and all my personal information goes into this data for me to be able to file for the town. So it's a little risky, I feel, putting my social security number, date of birth, and driver's license, and everything in there. So it's just a lot. They
You can
talked
put
about.
my stuff in there, but I'm not going to the meeting.
Okay, all right, I'll put that in. We got the town report, schedule, while I was out today. I guess I didn't bring it, I thought I did. So that's all coming into play. I don't even like thinking about it so soon, but she did say good news, it's a leap year, so we have one extra day to get stuff done, so that's all in the works. We do have to review it and, get it sent over again.
Just all those.
I think
Original. Okay.
that's all I need, except, we need, Blue Cross, I need to renew those things, maybe we'll put it on the agenda for the 20th,
I think
or
we'll
what?
put it on the agenda for the 20th. We'll do a little research in between now and then and a little discussion about the insurance and
Okay.
what's this and that as far as finalizing it, I think, but
Okay.
we'll make the final decision on the 20th. Is that good?
Mm-hmm,
Okay. Good. Thank you.
all right,
Do we need to sign here?
No, that's Carrie and Lisa in the back, I think.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, Carrie.
I just have the, working on the budget, takes a while, so I did that
Right.
the last couple days, so,
Well, thanks for your hard work on that. A lot of numbers.
a lot of numbers.
Thanks for
With the
putting all
payroll
those numbers
tax.
together and it only being 38 at the end, so.
Well, I had to go back through because the payroll tax changed, and so that was,
Yeah.
but, no, it was all fine. But that's it.
Okay.
I mean, all normal stuff is happening,
Okay.
getting ready for end of year, and town report and elections will be going crazy, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Assistant Assessor. Dorothy.
So we got, an official letter from Hill Remick that said we give you the 60-day extension for, doing the reappraisal. So, I filed that with the town clerk, and then also I've got a copy I'll give to Lisa to put in with the select board minutes.
Okay.
Gave you a copy of what I had this for the last meeting, but we didn't go over it. Just kind of an update on the online property cards. I've explained that what I've done, we've worked with Nimmer and Cartographics to get the photos updated. 50% of other towns in Vermont have online cards, and the online property cards are not a requirement of the state. And I explained everything here. We've had a lot of questions about them from different folks, and I just wanted to kind of get everything in black and white. And then at this time, we're not recommending doing a new set of pictures at this point, because it's going to be a lot of money, and we have to redo them when we do a reappraisal. Because it has to be, the picture has to be what the property looks like at the time we do a new reappraisal. I reviewed I reviewed 10% of the properties since Nimmer did the update. There was some confusion because there's the online property card, and then there was this other part that said building photos. And after a lot of research and back and forth with Cartographics and Nimmer, that was an old download that Cartographics had done whenever, and they weren't being updated, so those have been deleted. So now there's only the online property card with hopefully a picture. So if somebody wants a new picture, we will go out and do a new picture, but we'll also be updating their card, which will, we always find things that have changed, so that's...
Right, understandable.
And depending on how many changes I think we've made between now and the end of the year, I may do another update in December of the cards, or maybe even closer to April 1st, of the property cards, if I think we've got enough changes to warrant the $300. But normally, we would not do more than the one a year. This is kind of a different year, so.
Okay.
So with obviously the cost of pictures as part of a reappraisal or part of an appraisal would be part of that budget, right?
Yes.
So
we don't want to use, we talked, John and Bart Schlesinger and I talked in detail about somebody, putting out an RFP right now and going out and do pictures, but at the end of the day, we're gonna have to redo those pictures. So we can't just say, oh, these are our new pictures. They have to be redone when we do another reappraisal next year or the year after or whenever, so. And that's, 8,000 is a very rough estimate. I think we'd be into it for more than that. To have pictures of all the properties. And I've got a grand list that I've been using to keep track of when I add a picture or when I do a new map. And there are some pictures from 2019 that I haven't used because the picture we've got on there is better. So yes, it's an older picture, but it's a better picture. The one from 2019 maybe only be half of the house or none of the barn or whatever.
Which I think that's fair. If somebody requests they want better pictures and newer pictures, and we'll come back out, but we're gonna reassess and...
Yep.
And you're gonna...
And the two pictures, the two folks that wanted pictures, there were significant changes. So they will be very happy when they hear from us.
Well, sometimes it's not the homeowner that wants to update, it's somebody refinancing or selling.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
true, yeah.
whatever. Yep.
Right. But it
just,
seems, yeah.
It's just a communication thing as far as letting us know. There's a lot going on with the state, and I tried to not give you everything.
That would be fabulous. Just a small little
This
review.
Scott administration projects unacceptable 18.5% increase in property taxes. That's a real good summary of the news that's come out in the last day or two. I printed this off like 2 or 3 days ago, left it on the printer because I didn't want to deal with it. And then when I looked at it today, it's like, oh, this is good. This is kind of some bullet points, and it really summarizes that whole.
where is this article from?
Looks like VT Digger.
Is it VT Digger? It does look like VT Digger.
And so, yeah, this was from the state, I think. But anyway, that's a summary of that. Then there were 2 other things that I had for the meeting, the last meeting. It's our newsletter that we get from PBR. And so that kind of summarizes happening in the legislature at the, what has come out of the legislature for the it's Act 68 now. So that's like 2 pages, it's just kind of a summary of that. And then Vala they had a lot of discussion, and a lot of their webinars are how it's going to affect the appraisers and the listers. And so this is kind of their summary and what they are seeing. And it's from Val, so it's not cast in concrete, it's not a state document. It's from the Vala Association.
Okay.
The grant from NVDA, I've been having a lot of emails back and forth between Jesse and another gentleman.
What you told us.
Jesse, yeah, and so today, I talked to Jesse today, and then I talked with Carrie. Jesse seems to think there's more money, and we need to really go for the gusto on this and think big. So, as of today, Carrie and I talked, and we're gonna ask for the maps to be laminated, which will, really stiff them up and not, I just wanted to kind of use tape and get them fixed a little bit, but he said, well, we can get them laminated. So he's gonna present that to whoever, and we'll go from there.
All right, that sounds
Okay,
good.
that's it.
This article is from VT Digger that you gave us. What's of note here that, if anybody is looking for this article, I'll give you a copy, but it's on VT Digger, but it's largely the 18.5% is due to a projected 12% jump in education spending in the state and and in the school districts. So, none of that 18.5% increase is going towards anything to do with Groton or the town of Groton. That's state education spending, and it is concerning. I mean, that's a big number. That's yeah.
What's our CLA,
Right now, I don't know that
Because as prices of houses continue to grow, that's when that number gets out of whack.
Yep.
The value of what you're taxing on.
That's what it was this past year, why we have to do the appraisal.
Right.
All right.
So our CLA this year, December 2022, was 91.6.
Yeah, that hurts us.
All right. Okay,
Thanks for the
bad news.
Sorry.
Thanks for the news. Okay, fire and fast. Which, we don't really have anybody, do we?
Somebody has a letter. Somebody has a...
We have, I got an email, but the problem is that we don't have a thing on the agenda from the fire department for anything, for nominations or anything to do with the fire department, and for that.
Did we get anything to approve in regards to, because
Yeah, I got a thing from
so they
the,
had their elections last night.
they had elections last night, which I'm a little confused, I guess, as a board member. Everything seems to be a little unstable in the fire department or something. All of a sudden, people are resigning and getting done in positions, and so I'm not sure what's going on, quite honestly.
Well, that is something that can actually happen at any point, any time.
Okay, well, we just had the secretary resign on the fire department. The chief is got done. I think there's other,
Officially resigned to the board?
no?
We have not.
But we have a thing saying that somebody else has been nominated as chief. And I'm not sure that,
The correspondence that we received was from Tanya Palmer, who's now the new Groton Volunteer Fire Department Secretary. And it just says that The Groton Fire, Volunteer Fire Department has voted unanimously at a scheduled annual monthly business meeting, that the past and current sitting First Assistant Chief Wayne Knott be promoted as Fire Chief for 2024. We're asking for the seat to be approved and appointed to Wayne Knott. So that's a communication we've received.
So how we've operated since the first time I sat in the December meeting was if, and I got. There's two people on the board that been on the fire department, so they kind of know. That's what happens, is on this December meeting, if you want to be the fire chief, you get voted every year to be the fire chief. So if two people want to run for fire chief, it comes down to a vote. This year, Wade had resigned to us in an email.
So that was the only nomination this year was for Wayne?
Yes. Yep.
So I have a concern, I guess, as a selectman, that the nomination, there was some discussion as far as Wayne being able to be chief for the fire department and safely being able to hold that position and do that job. So I guess I would like to bring that up as a discussion. That is that
We actually have
because he
discussed that, not in terrible length, but in short length, last night.
okay.
So with that, we accepted the nomination, which and voted as our department unanimously to.
But the board can reject that nomination too. So I guess I'm questioning that nomination, and I think that it would be good to have some discussion on that from the town's behalf. So, because
That's totally up to you.
well, what I'm saying was Wayne was voted and removed from being fire chief in the past, so now I'm trying to figure out, okay, so are we just filling a position, or are we voting in somebody that wants this job and can do this job? And is what I'm looking at as far as the town is concerned. And Wayne's not here, so I can't talk with Wayne about this. So
I can speak for myself.
and we just got an email, nobody is officially here from the fire department about this.
Not about this, because like you said, it's not on the agenda. I'm the president of the fire department, Philip's the assistant president. We did have this discussion with Wayne last night when he said, when he expressed interest, and Wayne has a lot of knowledge, and he's been doing it for years, and
Well, I know that.
out of the
I get
people
that.
here in town and on the fire department that are active members, I believe at this meeting last night, we all agreed that he is probably the best fit for this job.
Okay.
And bottom line, Wade has, he just hasn't resigned to you, he's resigned that position as of whatever day it was, I had emailed.
December 4th,
So-
he said he was
So Assistant Wayne Knott is in that position.
already.
Right, but now,
So that is what he's.
Zach, what do you think? What do you?
I think that if you're getting into personnel issues, you need to go into executive session and not have it on TV.
So, I hear what you're saying. At the same time, this is a nomination for an appointed position. It's not necessarily an employee discussion. I think that there have been some concerns expressed. That being said, if we have concerns, I think the next step would be to, invite Wayne to the next select board meeting so that he can be here to talk on his behalf. And at that point, because I think the concerns that have been expressed, I think through different channels and different ways are concerning. I think that, from a, sensitivity to the town standpoint, that would necessarily deem us to have an executive session to discuss those specific concerns with Wayne. My recommendation is that we would not approve or deny this nomination, approve or reject this nomination until we have that conversation with Wayne first. Because I think that, no matter what is said or what concerns may have been expressed, those, being of a sensitive nature, in my opinion, do require that, whoever that person is needs to be present and be a part of that, questioning. I think that's fair to him and fair to the town before we, reject anything or approve anything. So.
That is up to the board. I mean,
Yeah, and I feel like the fire department, we don't seem to get anybody here representing the fire department as far as a chief or anything. We ran into some trouble with Wade with being present, and people are representing and here and this and saying that, but we don't actually have anybody here that's, they got an email, but nobody's here to represent that email and discuss this.
So Wayne was going to come tonight, and we decided that because of the current chief having not resigned and not given anything to you formally, that he would wait until another meeting to come. So Wayne had planned to come tonight, but
So,
we're
by you
still-
saying that, this is all kind of done in the wrong procedure, is really what it
So,
all
you
comes
know,
down to.
and-
We don't even have the resignation
Right, and
from
that's-
Wade before we're
So
accepting
what
another.
I would say is the behavior of the current chief, or I would say the outgoing chief, is currently, I feel it's highly irregular. I think, the communication that I received, was, one, there was some hearsay that went around that that he was resigning on Tuesday.
But we never heard it.
I heard from him via message today that he resigned last week, and his last official duty was the budget day meeting.
Which we never heard anything
But
officially about that.
Again, he had a public forum at the budget meeting to share his resignation if he was resigning. And being that as Philip described, being that it's a annually nominated position from the fire department, I can understand if he decided that he didn't want to be the chief moving forward and didn't accept the nomination with the fire department through their processes and procedures. But we haven't had any communication directly from Wade Johnson on, him stepping down or resigning. Again, that being said, I can understand Wayne's discomfort in wanting to come to a meeting when he is unsure of the status of that position with the select board. So again, I guess what I would say is what we need to do before we can accept or reject this nomination, I would like to request that Wayne not come to the next meeting. And again, we can have an executive session to discuss the concerns that have been or that have been, that I've received anyway through, I won't divulge that.
But it doesn't matter.
Information.
I feel like the fire department needs to step up here and get things together better and more professionally.
And again, I think that's a concern.
We already dealt with a thing with the building this summer, a surprise with that, so we really need to
I
get.
think with
in
that,
order.
to a certain extent, I think a lot of that's resolving itself, right? I think that's the.
Well, I'm just saying,
But
like,
again, you're right.
the fire department is here to work with the town.
But this really, this is a nomination for you guys to appoint him as of the last day, for the first day of January. So you've got this, there's a timeframe, not a lot, but there's a timeframe to get this.
What I would say though, in the meantime, because it
He's acting
seemingly
chief then,
he's the
as
acting
of this
chief.
point.
Right.
So he has the ability to do purchase orders, everything that needs to happen, because he has taken over that position.
Correct.
He's the assistant chief, so now.
He
he's-
would anyways, cause he's in the.
So
yeah.
I think we recognize that. We recognize that he's the acting chief until this nomination
Gets
is
resolved.
being resolved. I think to Tristan's point, I think something we should discuss with Wayne when he comes to the next meeting is the expectations from the select board of what we would like the chief of the fire department to do.
Correct.
And the participation from the fire department in the, the municipal, official municipal meetings and et cetera. So, anyway, I don't know. Aaron, do you feel that's reasonable?
Yes, yep, I feel that's reasonable. Like, as you pointed out, it's, Wayne is the current acting chief. Being some concerns, that makes absolute sense for the select board to meet with him privately, and that'd be the most respectful thing to do. This isn't, like Philip had said, this happens every December.
Yep. Yep.
First Tuesday so this isn't necessarily coming out of the blue, but it's unorthodox. I think to use your word, it's
Okay.
been an unorthodox situation, so.
Yep.
I have a question. Should the president or vice president of the fire department reach out to Wade Johnson, or are you guys gonna reach out to him directly? So he can turn officially, turn in his resignation.
So I guess my question is has he communicated to the officers of the fire department that he is resigning his position? Okay.
December 4th, I think was the date. So
Okay.
He wasn't at the meeting last night?
No, he told us at the
we didn't
previous
get
meeting he wasn't gonna
any
be
emails for
there because he was done the day before. We have all the emails if you guys.
I guess we would like an email
So,
from the chief saying that I am resigning as fire chief, blah, blah, blah.
Or a letter signed that,
Something.
some sort of correspondence that.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
So,
so
I mean,
it was our understanding that he already done that.
I can.
He was here Tuesday at budget meeting, and not one
Saturday.
thing was, or Saturday at budget meeting, not one thing was
Wow.
said about this, so it's a little strange. And just this whole
Yeah.
thing, this
Yeah.
communication seems to be like this big mess right now, so. And
Hopefully we get that.
as the board, it's nice to know what's going on in the town, and it's kind of the idea.
looking for PO signed by Wayne instead of Wade,
Yes.
because I think there's a lot of purchases
Effective December
that
4th.
are gonna start happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that simple as a chief.
Yes,
There's
yes.
spending, there's the whole thing of, it's year end, it's everything else.
A lot more to it than just sitting and wanting this.
What, exactly.
So I can reach out to Wade if you want me to,
Yeah, either,
and ask him to just put, he just needs to file a letter
Right. Perfect.
with the office, I guess.
Yeah.
With the town clerk. or-
Okay.
Or treasurer that he's resigning, and then, next steps with the next meeting is, we definitely need to have a meeting to,
Yep.
to meet with and discuss the position with Wayne. Not-
Okay. Good. Okay, that's that.
Okay.
Cons,
Sorry, two other fire department things. Don't shoot the messenger. We have concerns with the parking out here. At basketball time, we've got a gazillion cars, trucks. They're not backing far enough back so that we have a big pickup with a big plow that's in front of the doors at times when we need to try to get out. We were gonna reach out to
I'll reach out to Todd Powers right now.
Powers. One of our members may have done that today already, so we just wanted to keep you in the loop that we're
Okay.
concerned about that. The other thing we talked about last night, for quite a while, is 4-inch hose. The department tested hose, and we've replaced some of the 2.5-inch hose is on order, but there's 4-inch hose that was also taken out of service. And so we're looking at, we're getting prices and quotes, and we'll take that out of, at some point, quote to go from the durable equipment fund, so
Okay,
just to let you know we're working on that.
okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Constable, anything?
Under fire and fast, sorry, it should be noted that, as well, Brenda Bruley did not run for head of service this
Okay.
year, and Derek Curtis stepped up,
Okay,
so.
okay, good. Thank you.
Talk about our one.
And the rescue is out of service. It has a wiring issue that kept it from being inspected.
I
And
just went over the thing and spent half the summer getting billed
and then
from
when it comes
some
time for an
other thing,
inspection,
and now,
yeah.
So we've got an appointment, on Friday to take it down to North Haverhill. Dan Avery is gonna look at it,
Yeah.
so I don't know any more than that.
okay,
So it's, yeah, being that it's uninspected, we decided to take it off the road
okay,
for liability purposes. So,
okay, okay. Thank you. Constable, did Mark ever come in and time? Okay, well, the year's the end. The end of year is coming. I've talked to him, reminded him. I don't know what else to do.
He was in for job stuff, but it was in 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Library, I'm assuming. we
They
should-
have their event on Friday, 5 to 8 for the holiday lights. What are they calling it? 5 to 6:30. Sorry, St. Johnsbury's 5 to 8. But they're gonna have the cement truck out again. Hot chocolate, plow truck. They're gonna have a lot of cool stuff.
Okay,
so,
cool, good.
Fire
there will
truck,
be a fire truck there, yeah.
just not our one.
No,
Okay, cool, excellent. Anything from Dan zoning?
No, that's really just settled down, so
Okay,
we're done for the remainder.
anything from Dan on health officer stuff?
there's a
Okay,
wellness check in there, that was,
that was, oh, we got a wellness
Yeah.
thing on, yeah.
Dorothy, I just emailed Todd.
Excuse me?
I just emailed Todd.
Okay, thank you.
Maintenance,
Shoveling the walks.
we're working on that.
Do we have light bulbs for those?
No, I think somebody looked at it and decided it was balanced.
Yeah, it's a balance.
We might as well just replace it with a new LED light instead of buying a new ballast for it, to be quite honest with you.
Dallas would be 5 times as much as the whole
I know.
Who's our
that's
Who's
what I
our
mean.
electrician?
We don't have them.
We don't have one. Tim can't even, Tim's busy. We'll discuss the light thing. We'll see what we can do
They have
with the
replacement
lights.
bulbs for them, but yeah, if it's the ballast, even then they have to replace them.
IT, are you here for IT or? I don't think, is there any IT update?
always.
So I did finally set up the new computers, but then I got this nasty cold and have stopped working on them. They are all set up but not moved in yet.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll get back on that soon. Back working at the library, we set up we worked 4 hours Monday night there, me, Sarah, and her husband, setting up a new Wi-Fi. They bought an $800 mesh Wi-Fi system there. So we put an outside pod outside the wall, a bunch of them inside, new switch, moved a bunch of stuff. Steve put a shelf up, moved a whole bunch of stuff. Got a little bit more wiring to do now because of this new stuff.
Okay.
More conduit to put up. But we spent 4 hours, 10:30 Monday night there, trying to increase how far they broadcast their Wi-Fi. Pretty nice system. They've
Now, how come we want, so what's the idea of that? Like, to make it go further than the library? But,
Yeah.
what's the reason?
It attracts people there more. Internet access is a big thing in the library.
Okay,
It's just an important feature of the library.
okay.
So, making it easy, be wherever you are near the library to get internet access.
Is it reaching the park now?
I think so. We haven't, 10:30, we had enough.
So
Yeah,
Wanda
walk
can
around
cancel,
town.
Wanda can cancel her internet.
But it's a pretty nice system. Someday, I don't know what I said for budget for this year, but someday we've got to update ours from 2011. That's definitely what we'll probably go with here.
Okay,
When I'm ready to take on more projects.
okay. No hurry, I don't think.
You'll get new copiers coming in on December 19th. I may or may not be here to install it.
Okay.
But it's gonna be dropped off at least. That'll go in the town clerk's office, and then the one that's there, which is at least 15 years older or 20 years older than what's downstairs in Listers, that will go downstairs, and then we gotta dispose of the old coffee star.
Okay,
And
great.
that will give the listers the ability to scan the email, scan the folder, whatever they want to do. Give them some nice new technology down there, and have a nice new reliable machine upstairs.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
I think that's it. We've got a couple updates, but no major reported problems.
Okay, good. Thank you. Glad you're here. Anything else for IT? Okay, good, okay.
Have you talked any more about cameras?
We haven't. We're trying to get through budgets. Yeah, we're just trying to get through our budget season, and then maybe next year we'll get more into the cameras and stuff. Okay. Planning Commission, Steve Hart, tree grant. You got us a tree grant?
I was trying.
The tree looks absolutely amazing out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks really good.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, I think Mike Negus came in, when he came in at one point and was talking to you guys about a possible grant that you can get to plant some trees.
Yes.
Okay, so I've been trying to fill out the application, and the minimum amount that you can apply for is $5,000. So
Okay.
I think I've come up with enough trees that you could spread around between the cemetery and, you know, some lilacs for the front lawn here, and then some up to the softball field.
Okay.
So, I mean, basically, and I've talked to Steve Murray, the tree warden,
Okay.
talked to Steve Batchelor on the cemetery commission. I haven't really got any feedback from you or Aaron. Brent, you know, is usually at the planning commission meeting, so I've talked to him about this. But you'd be putting like a line of hard maple trees or sugar maple trees along 302 in between the cemetery and 302.
Okay.
Just like a straight line of maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
You know, kind of end on where the entrance is.
Okay.
Or maybe one on the other side. And then maybe a fir tree out here, so you don't have to keep putting up the Christmas tree for.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Somewhere out in that corner, and maybe like 4 or 5 lilacs along.
Did you get one for the center island too?
No, don't open that, don't open that can of worms.
Oh, sorry.
And then up to the softball field, like to the right of that fence, they cleared some brush in there a few years ago.
Okay.
Just have that, you know, scraped off and maybe put in some soft maple or red maple trees.
Okay.
there. Maybe a couple out back. But anyways, I came up with about $5,000. Then the town has to match it, or they can match it with money, or they can match it with like in-kind contributions or volunteers.
Okay.
So I think I can come up with enough volunteers and enough donated equipment to kind of match it.
Yep.
So the town won't have to, you know, spend anything. And it's a competitive grant, you may or may not get it.
Okay.
But, you know, before I, you know, go to the time and effort of doing the application, I wanted to tell you guys what it was, kind of loosely where the work would be done, and get your blessing that you're okay with it.
Sounds good.
You know, your obligation might be, if you actually get the grant, then I might come along and say, okay, well, now I need some money for the trees.
Okay.
And, you know, you'd have to find a budget to take it out of. And
Right.
it wouldn't be all at once, you know, you'd probably do it in like 3 different sections. And then once you're complete, you just have to prove that you did the work and you get reimbursed for it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's why I'm here, to kind of get your blessing to pursue it, that you're okay with it. And then the other thing is, the application is due January 5th. So if I produce this thing like next week, I think there's a place for me, the select board chair, to sign the application. And, you know, obviously you review it and make sure it looks like what, you know, you're okay with. But I gotta turn it around pretty quickly. I have
Okay.
to have one of you guys sign it pretty, you know, within the next couple of weeks.
That's the hardest part, is trying to get one of us to sign it.
Yeah.
If you get it
Well,
all ready and ready to sign, and I'll review it and whatever, and in the folder or whatever, and we'll get it done.
Okay,
I say go for it.
okay,
Yep, sounds good, Steve.
all right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, Steve?
Nope.
Okay.
Planning commission is taking December off, is that?
What's that?
Planning commission is taking December off, is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have a meeting scheduled until the first of the year. And they kind of, you know, we talked about that there, so I mean, it's a conversation we're having, and, you know, probably, if you actually got the grant, I'd be updating them and you at the same time.
Okay,
You know.
good. Excellent. What do we got for NEK stuff and CUD,
I haven't
board?
heard anything on the
I've been touring vendors who want to bid on the projects of the railroad bed.
Okay,
Last Friday, I took 4 people up and down the railroad bed, a little Italy,
okay, good.
all day long.
Cool. All day.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And the surveyor guy was here today.
First guy had to cut out all the trees
What?
that were blown down. The first guy had to cut out all the trees so I could get through with my truck. So,
Jeez.
but he was a nice guy. He didn't mind doing it. So a lot of interest. First time around, got no interest, and then Mike posted the RFPs in a bunch of different places, and boom, get I think 3 more people this week.
Wow, great. Okay, that's good.
A lot of interest.
Excellent.
So
What
a lot of
about,
questions too.
what about EV charging, anything on that energy?
Dennis, he sent a note saying that he didn't have anything new to report, that the grant hasn't been decided on yet.
Okay.
We're
Is
waiting.
that different than the energy grant updates? Is that, what was the energy, is that?
No, that's the,
Yeah.
Phase 1.
I haven't heard anything more after I sent them the information.
Okay. Okay, I think that, what about infrastructure, anything on that?
No.
Okay,
So how do you want this changed, Zach?
What I was thinking is we just put like ongoing projects and then list out the projects underneath.
Okay,
I don't know, just,
right,
I know, it's getting a little heavy.
our project list has grown.
Do we have to list
significantly.
tree grant now?
Yep, we're gonna have to, jeez. You can blame Steve on that.
Yeah.
okay, open to public and other business. Okay, nobody has any public or other business. I do have, we have the sheriff contract, we need to sign the sheriff contract that we have.
Are we making any changes there?
I
You
don't,
had decided on the 13,005, the same.
That's right.
right,
So I think that just needs to get plugged in and then you sign it.
okay,
Gotcha.
so what did we decide on for the amount?
13,500. Same as this year.
Okay. I'm working on the, our select board, I have it for the next, for the town report. Working on them, our yearly
Right up.
write-up for
Okay.
the thing, so I'm hoping to have a draft, for the next meeting for that. Was there anything else? I guess that was it. Follow-ups, we haven't done anything more on the speed sign that I know of, we haven't got, budgets are, it's budget time, so we're just busy with budget. I haven't seen Tim Corey, to talk to him about the lights. And we need to set the agenda for the December 20th meeting, which we know we need to talk about.
So, carryovers are town, fund balance use and final budget approval.
Right.
Insurance discussion and approval. Fire chief discussion and executive session. And then probably temp highway position, who
Correct.
selection.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
Bring, if you come to the select board meeting, bring cookies and eggnog. We'll bring some cookies.
I'll bring the rum. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ooh, you betcha. Okay, I'll third it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.